Ever heard of the kamikaze, the divine winds that miraculously saved Japan from Mongol invasion not once, but twice? In 1274 and again in 1281, Kublai Khan's massive fleets were shattered by typhoons. But what if those storms never came? What if the Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous land empire in history, had successfully conquered the land of the rising sun? Let's dive into an alternate timeline where the world map looks very, very different. Picture this. It's 1281. The Second Mongol Fleet, a colossal armada of over 4,000 ships and 140,000 men, lands on the shores of Hakata Bay. The samurai, fierce and brave, fight with everything they have. But they are outnumbered and outgunned by the Mongols' advanced tactics and weaponry, including gunpowder bombs. Without a typhoon to save them, the Japanese defenses eventually crumble. The Kamakura shogunate falls, and Japan becomes a new province under the vast Yuan dynasty. The immediate aftermath is brutal. Mongol rule is established with an iron fist. Key cities are garrisoned, and a new administrative system is imposed, replacing the traditional Japanese feudal structure. The emperor is likely kept as a figurehead, a puppet to legitimize Mongol authority, but the real power lies with a Mongol governor, a Dargachi, stationed in a newly established capital, perhaps Hakata, which would be renamed. The samurai class, the warrior elite of Japan, faces a crisis. Many are killed in the invasion. The survivors are disarmed and stripped of their lands and status. Some might be forcibly integrated into the Mongol military machine, sent to fight in campaigns in Southeast Asia or elsewhere. Others, refusing to yield, would become ronin, masterless samurai, sparking pockets of resistance and guerrilla warfare in the mountains for decades. This prolonged resistance would be met with overwhelming force, leading to immense suffering and loss of life, forever altering the Japanese psyche. Culturally, the impact would be profound. The Mongols were surprisingly pragmatic rulers in many parts of their empire, often adopting and integrating local customs. However, the initial conquest would have been destructive. Many temples and shrines, symbols of Japanese identity and resistance, would be destroyed. Over time, a unique cultural fusion would emerge. Mongol and Chinese influences, brought by the Yuan dynasty, would flood into Japan. We'd see changes in language, with Mandarin and Mongolian words seeping into Japanese. Art styles would blend. Imagine Japanese ink wash painting incorporating the dynamic, nomadic scenes of the steppes. Architecture would also transform, with the elegant simplicity of Japanese design meeting the grand, imposing scale of Mongol and Chinese imperial structures. Traditional Japanese arts like the tea ceremony and no theater might survive, but they would evolve, absorbing new influences or be practiced in secret as a form of cultural preservation. Perhaps the biggest change would be Japan's relationship with the outside world. The historical policy of Sakoku, or national isolation, which defined Japan for over 200 years, would never happen. Instead, Japan becomes a vital naval base and trading hub for the Mongol Empire's maritime ambitions. Japanese sailors and shipbuilders, now serving the Great Khan, would project Mongol power across the Pacific. This could lead to earlier, and very different, contact with the Americas. Imagine Mongol-Japanese junks, not Spanish galleons, being the first to make contact with the Aztec or Inca civilizations. The ripple effects across Asia would be immense. A Mongol-controlled Japan provides a new staging ground for further invasions. The Mongols' third attempt to invade Vietnam might have been more successful with Japanese resources and manpower. The same goes for their campaigns against Java and other parts of Southeast Asia. An unchallenged Yuan dynasty, stretching from Eastern Europe to the Sea of Japan, would dominate the continent for much longer. The world we know today was shaped by the rise of European maritime powers. But in this alternate timeline, the center of global power remains firmly in Asia. The Renaissance in Europe might unfold differently without the trade routes secured by figures like Marco Polo, whose own journeys were enabled by the Pax Mongolica. The age of discovery could be an age of Asian discovery, with Mongol-Japanese explorers charting the globe. Of course, the Mongol Empire itself wasn't destined to last forever. Internal power struggles and assimilation eventually led to its decline in our timeline. In this alternate world, a Mongol-ruled Japan would eventually seek its independence. The spirit of the samurai and the deep-rooted culture of Japan would not be extinguished easily. A Japanese war of independence, perhaps centuries later, would be a defining moment, forging a new national identity from the ashes of conquest and the crucible of fusion. This new Japan, emerging from Mongol rule, would be a completely different nation. It would be more continental, more militarized in a Mongol style, and inextricably linked to the Asian mainland. The unique qualities that we associate with Japan today, from its corporate culture to its pop culture, would have been shaped by a completely different history. It's a fascinating and sobering thought. The typhoons of 1274 and 1281 weren't just storms. They were the pivot points upon which the entire destiny of a nation turned. What do you think? How else would a Mongol-conquered Japan have changed history? Let me know your theories down in the comments. It's a wild scenario to think about. Thanks so much for watching and exploring this alternate history with me. If you enjoyed this journey through a world that never was, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you in the next one.